Hey everyone. How are ya? Got some really bright light coming in from this window over here. Try to move it a little bit. Alright. I'm going to keep this fast today anyway, so it's all good. So, how are you? Welcome to the Periscope. My name is JenniferBlanchard. I'm an author and a story coach. I work with serious emerging novelists who want to save time, cut years off their learning curves, and write better stories faster so that they can get published. So I'm going to keep things short today, like I said. But today's actually my birthday, and I was reflecting a little bit this morning on where I was a year ago compared to where I am right now. So last year on this day, I woke up and, yeah, it was my birthday and I was excited, but I guess I felt very unaccomplished because even though I had done so much stuff in my life, even though I've, published 3 books at the time and I, had quit my job to do something that I love, to start a business and all these things, but I felt like the one thing that I wanted so badly, I didn't have yet. And that was my published novel. And so, a year later, 12 months has gone by and I published my first novel this year. So in June of this year. And so this morning I was just kind of thinking about, how far I've come in the last 12 months. And it's really amazing. And it's kind of showed me that you can do anything in a very short period of time. I mean, a year is a long time, but it's also kind of a short period of time. And you can do anything if you set your mind to it, if you know what you're doing and just believe that you can do it. And then also, get support when you need it. So I think that kind of goes to my topic today. So I wanted to talk a little bit about why you should never, ever, 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 ever self-publish in a vacuum. So, and what that means is publishing, without getting an outside feedback on what you've done. And so, yeah, sorry. I talk fast. I apologize. I will try to slow down. So basically, in 2008, I wrote my first novel and it was just a mess, a total disaster. But at the time I was planning on publishing it. So I was actually working with an editor and, thankfully I never went through with it. So I had an editor and she had given me some feedback on it, but the story wasn't nearly where it needed to be. And she was really pushing me to publish, I think because she just wanted to help me get my book out there, which I understood. But the problem was the book sucked. It was not any good. And so I started working with this other girl on publishing. She was actually creating her own publishing house. And so I thought, okay, well, I can, get in with that and help with that. And I can, publish my book that way. And so I got a cover designed and I started doing all these things you do when you're getting published. But the problem was I had not, my book sucked. I had not a good book to use to publish. And so it was actually a really, really good thing that I never went through with it, that I got afraid and freaked out and just stopped. Because if I had published back then, it would have been a total disaster. A total disaster. And thankfully I didn't do that. And I took the time to learn what I needed to know about writing novels before I finally went through and published mine, which I said I published it this year. And so I just want to kind of give you 3 tips or 3 reasons why you should never publish in a vacuum. And again, that just means publishing without showing anybody your work first, without, because I talked to a lot of writers, and lately especially, that have told me, oh yeah, I wrote this book during Nano and then I published it right after that. And I'm just like, what? Are you freaking kidding me? First of all, Nano never gets you a book you can publish. If you think it does, you're losing your mind. It doesn't. It gets you a draft of some kind, not necessarily a draft of a story, but it gives you a draft of something. And if you just go and publish that, you're totally screwing yourself over. So here are my 3 reasons why I think you should never publish in a vacuum. The first one is that you are way too close to your own story to know if it's any good or not. And yeah, that sounds kind of harsh, but the thing is, a lot of times we fall in love with our stuff very easily. And so, we might think we have great characters and a great plot and all these things, but when someone else reads it, they find a lot of issues that we didn't see because it's our story. And we're never going to see that stuff because we're so close to it. So without getting outside feedback of some kind, even if it's just a beta reader, if you can find a person who knows about stories, who can read your story for you, you're better off doing that than you are just writing something, thinking it's good enough and publishing it. And I'm not saying that you can't write something awesome on your own, because you can. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who can do that. The problem is, even those people still need outside feedback, no matter what. Because you still need, number 2, which is an editor. You need an editor. And if you're not willing to get an editor or spend the money to have someone edit your work for you, then you might want to rethink self-publishing. You might have to just suck it up and go after the traditional publishing so that you can have them take care of everything for you and you don't have to worry about it. Because if you don't hire an editor when you're going through your publishing process, you are going to screw yourself over. Your book has to be edited, and you need somebody who knows what they're doing to give you feedback. So, if I just put my book out there back in 2008 without knowing, what I know now, and if I just listened to this person I was working with who told me that, oh, you're good, just publish it. That would have been disastrous for me. Totally disastrous. And that goes to number 3, which is, you only get one shot at this. So self-publishing, you only get one shot at it. You have to get it right the first time, because if you don't, if your book sucks, no one's going to read it and no one's going to take you seriously going forward. So, if you decide to write, publish your novel from 5 years ago, and then you start writing more stuff, and maybe your stuff now is a lot better, but the problem is you've already wrecked your chances of getting readers because your old book sucked. So anybody who came to, check it out either read your preview pages and was like, this is garbage, or they, just weren't into it. So before you do all that, before you put this effort into publishing, before you spend the time, working on your story and getting it out there, make sure you get some outside feedback. So it doesn't have to be someone you pay. I would recommend somebody you pay only because they're going to be a lot more objective than somebody who knows you. But if you don't want to spend the money on an editor, I understand that some writers don't want to do that. So that's totally fine. I'm not saying you have to spend money on stuff. All I'm saying is find somebody to give you feedback. You need objective feedback on your story if you want to publish something that's worth publishing. And if you're not willing to do any of that, then again, I say you should probably look into traditionally publishing, because at least then, you have to go through an agent. You have to go through them before you're going to get a publishing deal with another, with a company. So that at least will make sure that you're not publishing something that sucks. Your self-publishing is great. Okay, I'm a total believer in self-publishing. I love it. I've got 4 books that are self-published at this point. I have 3 nonfiction writing guides, and then I have a novel that I published this year. But if I had done any of that stuff without getting somebody to edit my work for me first, or without feedback to know if what I was doing was any good, that could have been potentially disastrous. And I wouldn't have been able to build the readership that I have. I wouldn't have been able to sell as many books as I've sold. And I wouldn't be making money every single month from Kindle sales. But I am, because I've taken the extra steps to make sure that my stories and my books are good before I publish them. So please, whatever you do, do not publish in a vacuum. Do not just write something and think it's good enough and publish it. You may think it's great, but before you do anything, make sure someone else thinks it's great too. And not just somebody close to you, like a family member, because unfortunately, people like that love us too much to tell us the truth about our writing. So you need somebody objective. If you're in a writing group, you could probably find someone in there to read for you and give you feedback on whether or not it's any good. But no matter what you do, just please, please do not publish in a vacuum. Find some outside feedback. Find somebody who can read your story for you or edit it. Just somebody to look at it and make sure that you're on the right track. That's all I got for you today. Like I said, it's my birthday, so I'm about to go and make some delicious food and celebrate for the rest of the day. So, but I will be back tomorrow with another Periscope, and I will be talking about more publishing-related topics. And if you are interested in getting your novel out there in the next 12 months, I would love for you to check out my new program that I just launched this morning. It's called Novel by Next Year. It is a 12-month program where you basically go from story idea to published novel, and I work with you the entire way. You have access to my team of people, so you get editing, you get beta reading, all the feedback you need, you get a custom cover design, all the support for publishing, and everything is included in the cost of the program, which I think is pretty cool. So if you want to check that out, go to JenniferBlanchard.net/nextyear and check it out. And otherwise, I will catch you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me for this Periscope.